Hey guys, today I just wanted to do a quick review on my Hennessy Jungle asymmetrical zip hammock. Um, I've had it for about 7 years or so, 6 or 7 years I'd say. Love it to death. Kind of wish it would die some days so I could buy a dream hammock, but I have zero complaints about this hammock really, and I just wanted to do a quick side-by-side comparison next to my Eno hammock that I use as a lender for people. Just kind of give you guys an idea of whether it's worth it for you to spend the extra money to have the nicer setup. So let's set her up. So now I got the hammock set up. I just wanted to show you guys some of the features of the hammock and some of the little tweaks I've done to make the setup a little bit easier, a little bit quicker of a process, and just make life easier when you're setting up and taking down camp. So let's go inside and take a look. So the Hennessy, this one at least, comes with a double bottom that lets you put in a thermarest or just kind of an underpad to keep yourself a little bit warm. It also is doubled up so that the bugs can't bite you through it, which is kind of handy if you like sleeping naked like I do, at least on those warmer nights. And then it had little tie outs if you want to tie the hammock out, just to make it easier to get in and out, but I personally don't like that. I found the hammock got a little bit wet when you were leaving it tied out on downpours and stuff, so I like to keep the hammock sort of centered in under the tarp, as you can see, which gives it a little bit more protection from the rain. It also has built-in bug net in this model because it's the zip model, so makes it easier to get in and out. I know some people like the bottom entry, but I'm not personally a big fan. I tried one out before I ever bought my Hennessy, and I was like, I do not like this with the sleeping bag and everything. Getting in and out of it probably wouldn't be so bad if you're going to step up to a quilt right away, but I would just recommend going with the zip version. Feel like it's going to be feel more natural for most people getting into hammock. And, another thing that it has is built-in ridgeline, as you can see, with a little pouch on it that you can put your cell phone in and other stuff. Kind of has a little divider in it, and you can slide that back and forth to wherever you want it, and a couple little clips that let you clip stuff on. I sometimes clip my headlamp to it, but usually I just set my headlamp on top of it and it stays there for the night. And then if you wake up in the middle of the night, you know where it is. Makes it super easy to grab. I believe there's also a strap. Yeah, you can see the little strap here, and that lets you tie the bug net back if you don't want it, if there's no bugs, which is kind of handy. I use it from time to time, but it's not super necessary. But you can always add more stuff to the ridgeline and that, which I've done in the past. You also used to have little pouches, because as you can see, there's a little loop in the ridgeline up here that you can tie little pouches with a drawstring at the ends where you're not using it, and then you can stuff like an extra sweater in it or anything like that that'll let you grab it easily if you wake up in the middle of the night cold. I used to keep an extra t-shirt or an extra sweater or just various extra things like an extra towel even to throw over you if you wake up in the middle of the night cold, you're not climbing out of the hammock. So that's handy, but it's not a built-in feature. It's just something I added to the hammock at one point, but I've since taken it out because I usually just end up sleeping with the extra clothes, and I rumble around and find them with my headlamp, and it saves a little bit of weight on the hammock setup, makes it a little easier to pack up. So something you can add if you want, just a thought. Another thing I do differently is I added this piece of bungee here to kind of take some of the slack out of the tarp setup without having to adjust it. It does come with a little knot here that lets you slide it up and down and tighten it down a little bit. But I just found the bungee gave you a little bit more adjustability and less of the tarp flapping in the middle of the night. Another thing I do with this bungee is I have a little saying when I'm setting it up. And that's orange to the right and you'll be all right, because if you're setting the hammock up, you just want the orange bungee to the right side of the hammock setup if from the side you're trying to come in, because that's the side the zipper's in. So whenever I'm setting it up, I just walk up to it and I'm like, okay, I want to get in from this side of the hammock, ideally, and I say orange to the right and set the orange side up to the right tree. If you catch what I'm saying. Another thing is that I'm not sure if a lot of people do this. I've never seen people do this, but I like to just leave the snake skins that come with the Hennessy hammocks on them. They don't always come with them, depends who you buy them from, but I believe if you buy them directly from Hennessy, they'll come with 2 snake skins. And those, as you've seen when I was setting it up, it just is basically a long rope sort of shape, and you just pull them back and away you go with your Hennessy hammock setup. And then I've also added Thermarest slacker suspenders. It just comes with a rope and tree savers, I think they're called. They're all right, but I just found the setup time and adjustment of it and everything, if you don't get the heights right, is kind of a pain, whereas the slacker straps with some good, I believe these are magnesium, they're climbing carabiners. They're super lightweight and they're really smooth, they're not hard on the straps. Make life so much easier when you're setting it up. If you don't quite get your setup right at first, it's very easy to just adjust the height on one end or tighten it down, because you can just pull on these. It's kind of a push-pull thing. You got to pull in the hammock and pull in the strap at the same time to adjust it, but once you get the hang of it, it's really slick. They're probably not the lightest straps in the world, and they do stretch a little bit, but when I was buying my straps, I looked at a lot of different ones, and these were my favorite straps that I could find. They also extend the reach of the hammock. If you're having trouble finding trees that are very close together, they probably extend it by at least 10 feet. Ideally, you don't want that, because the longer of a span you have between the trees, the more you're going to find that the hammocks sag during the middle of the night and you wake up with your butt on the ground. So that's not ideal, but it's a bit of a learning curve with hammocks. I know it is with tents too when you're first getting serious about it, but it's definitely more with a hammock, I'll say that. My only complaint with the hammock, you can see a bit of it dangling here, is that the seam tape on my tarp has let go over time. It used to be seam taped all along here, and that's slowly peeled away, and now it drips a little bit, so I'm gonna have to do something before we get into the summer season again to seal that up. Another great feature about the Hennessy hammocks is the little clip systems that they have. As you can see, I just clip it off to trees most of the time. Makes life super easy. Bungees, which take some of the stress off the tarp and that. If you haven't watched my tarp video, you'll see, go check that out, because you'll see that's how I started setting my tarp up too. After I bought my Hennessy, I was like, this is the slickest thing ever. Wonder if I can do that with my tarp. I just need some heavier bungees. So if you haven't checked my tarp video out, go check that out, and I'll shows you a bit about how I set my tarp up the same way as the Hennessy, just to make things quick and easy, set up and clean up. And there's a few other tips I think in that video that you might appreciate. Another thing I'd recommend is maybe picking up a line level if you're new to hammock camping, because one of the keys to it is getting the hammock level, and it's just basically a little level like you'd have for construction, carpentry stuff, but it just stays on a string line. But I'm assuming it would probably clip onto these, and then you'd get a really good idea whether your hammock's level or not. I've never seen anybody do that, but I'm sure somebody has. They just haven't posted about it or anything. So if you're struggling with getting a level hammock, setup and you're always waking up one end of the hammock, that'd be another thing you could do.